top of that breaking news this afternoon out at Michigan's Adventure in Muskegon County. 9 people hospitalized after a chlorine release at the water park. Everyone's in fair condition.
We are expecting a news conference any moment now, but right now 24-Hour News 8's Heather Walker is joining us live on the phone with what she's already learning. Heather?
Yeah, we just learned here that 9 people have been hospitalized for minor injuries, and actually I'm just joined now by the spokesperson for the park and the sheriff from Muskegon. Guys, I'm sorry, Muskegon County Hazmat. And what happened here?
Well, what had happened here is in the wave pool, there was a mixture of common household pool chemicals used in an industrial setting that basically mixed at a higher quantity and released into the pool itself, causing a small amount of chlorine gas to be produced, causing respiratory irritation and things of that nature with people in the immediate area of the wave pool and in the pool, including patrons and some staff.
Okay, and we were told that 9 people taken to the hospital. Has that number changed?
The number has increased. At 4 o'clock, we had a number of 15 were transported to the hospital. There were approximately 50 people who were being evaluated at that time and had been evaluated. So the number will likely increase. But at 4 o'clock, it was 15 transported and 50 being had either been evaluated or being evaluated.
Okay, and what is their condition right now? Do you know?
Condition as in the individuals? It's a variety of conditions. There were no really severe injuries. Most of the people suffered respiratory injuries, whereas they had difficulty breathing, short of breath, due to the exposure of the chemicals that day.
Do we know how this happened?
The park is looking into it. We have some ideas, but we don't want to speculate. It's way too early on to speculate on exactly how it occurred.
And how is the situation right now? Is it under control at the moment?
It's under control. The rest of the park is operating. The rest of the park is safe. Members of the Muskegon County Hazmat team went out with park staff and looked at the pool, tested the pool with various test kits to determine chlorine levels and pH levels, and the remainder of the park remains open and in operation.
Okay, and tell us again where this happened, in what pool?
In the wave pool at Michigan's Adventure Park.
Okay, thank you so much for that information. Do you want to add anything?
No, it's just that, due to the nature of the incident, it required a cooperative response among law enforcement, EMS, hazmat unit, obviously. We had multiple resources that were called to the scene. Michigan Adventure Park Management, park staff have been exemplary in their cooperation with us in the initial handling of the event. All persons that were either affected or felt they'd been affected were moved to an area of safety and contaminated within a fairly short period of time.
Perfect.
Evaluation treatment started, very quickly. It was actually a very smooth operation. We're fortunate that it wasn't any worse, thank goodness. But we were prepared for this event, and I think once we wrap things up, we have to sit down to reevaluate it and go over everything. We'll find out what we did right and evaluate what we can do better next time. But it's been a really smooth operation given the circumstances that we're dealing with.
Okay, thank you so much. That was Muskegon County Sheriff there. You heard that the number has been raised up to 15 people. We're going to continue to monitor this and bring you the latest.
Heather Walker live on the phone from Michigan's Adventure. So a little bit more serious than we first thought. 15 people taken to the hospital now.
Dozens being evaluated as well.
Said to be in fair condition. It's under control, but 50 others are being evaluated after a chlorine leak at the wave pool there that affected parts of the park and shut down at least that portion of the park. But the rest of the operations there at Michigan's Adventure continue on tonight.
And we do have other crew members out as well. 24-Hour News 8's Joe LaFergie is live at Mercy Hospital in Muskegon with what he's learning.
Yeah, Marley, we're joined tonight by Dr. F. Remington Sprague. He is the Chief Medical Officer here with Mercy Health Muskegon. Doctor, thanks for joining us. What can you tell us about the patients that have been brought in?
Yeah, the patients that were brought in by ambulance, who we anticipated would be the sickest, are actually quite stable. Some mild irritation of the nose, throat, and eyes, but breathing well, oxygen levels are fine. I think they're going to be fine.
Okay, no long-term effects?
Don't anticipate any long-term effects. The exposure appears to have been mild in spite of the appearance of a chlorine gas cloud passing over the pool there.
What about those that didn't come in here for evaluation that may not have needed it? Do they have to look for anything tonight? Is there any latent effects of this?
Well, yeah, it's a chemical exposure, and the effect may be somewhat delayed, so they should watch for wheezing or shortness of breath.
Okay, so, and we're talking a couple hundred people who were up at that pool, so really need to keep an eye on them, especially if they're kids.
Well, yeah, but the ones who had the greatest exposure were brought in, so the other ones are unlikely to have any problems, but yeah, mostly with children.
So mostly it's a precautionary thing to keep
Exactly
an eye out.
Right, yes.
Okay. Is this something you train for, something you expect to see?
No, we do. We have disaster training regularly, so we had our incident commands set up immediately and communicating, getting names ready to communicate with parents. It's just something we practice regularly.
Okay, now, of those patients, are any of them going to be hospitalized? Are they going to be treated?
I don't anticipate they'll be hospitalized overnight, but we will want to watch some of them for a few hours to make sure there are no late effects from the chlorine exposure.
What is the procedure, without getting too into the medical end of this? Oxygen therapy?
We'll monitor their oxygen levels, and if it drops, we'll give them supplemental oxygen. In severe cases, you can get some significant pulmonary or lung problems and ultimately even require supported ventilation. We don't anticipate that in this case.
Is the fact that this is an open area where
really
this happened?
It helps quite a bit. Plus, it wasn't an intentional chlorine gas attack. It was an unintentional release that evaporated quickly.
Okay, great. Thanks, Dr. F. Remington Sprague, the medical director here at Muskegon Health, Mercy Health Muskegon, joining us live to tell us about those patients. Again, about 15 brought in. They're all being treated. It looks like they're all going to be okay. They've all been evaluated. So we'll continue to monitor the situation here in Muskegon. Back to you.
Lafergie reporting. Thank you so much. And it is good to hear that doctors saying that right now everyone in stable condition and no long-term effects from this because of the mild exposure that everyone had to this chlorine.
Not the day at the water park that you would have wanted. And the sad thing is it's probably a lot of kids that are concerned, that were hurt in this, and scared. So we'll continue to stay on top of this. We've got crews all over the story. Look for updates both here on air and online at woodtv.com.